What's going on, everybody? It's your boy BJ, the DJ. You are now tuned into the rewrap. This is episode 24. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. The rewrap's available on all streaming platforms. And if you haven't tapped in with them boys at Over the Top with Chad and Tony, please make sure you do so. You can catch me on there as a recurring guest talking about movies and nostalgic wrestling. Episode 24. Let's get to it. This is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for some time, pretty much ever since I started this whole podcast. And I know typically we talk about music, we talk about songs, we talk about, opinions of lists of writers and stuff like that. But this is one that's kind of been an issue for some time, and it's been discussed on several other platforms, but we haven't discussed it here. And that is streaming content payout. Now, I can't speak much about the payout amounts of like video content, but I can speak about the streaming content as far as like streaming music goes. In 2024, it hit record lows, and I think the payout was typically around $3 per 1,000 streams, and that's the lowest it's been for some time. Although the streaming platforms continue to increase revenue through ad revenue, they fail to renegotiate the payout amount for artists, which are providing them the content that they need in order to gain that ad revenue. It's been ongoing for some time. Snoop had an interview a while back where he mentioned, if I have 1 million streams, I should have $1 million. Now, I understand $1 per stream probably isn't reasonable in a sense, or maybe it is. For me, I do feel like right now, what they pay per stream is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's way too low. Let's put it in perspective in a sense. Like, they're not even paying a full penny amount for a stream. It is less. It's actually less than that. It is, let's see. It is about, and depending on the platform, obviously, if we're looking at 1,000 streams across the board here, Amazon Music, for instance, pays out $8.80 per 1,000 streams, which is the highest. But considering this, like, how many people do you know use Amazon Music for their streaming service? Tidal is another one. How many people do you know that actually use Tidal for their streaming service? They pay $6.80 per 1,000 streams. So between Amazon Music and Tidal, they're the two highest payouts per 1,000 streams at a little over $6 for Tidal and $8 for Amazon Music. Then you get into the big boys. Apple Music here, you're looking at $6.20 per 1,000 streams. YouTube Music, who actually offers one of the lowest payouts at like 0.002 cents for a stream, they give you about $4.80 per 1,000 streams. And again, that's YouTube Music because, like, again, I don't know anybody that uses YouTube Music. I use it as my default media player for music on my phone. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm streaming off Spotify. And then Deezer's one that I always know that's there. I don't know anybody in this world that uses Deezer for anything, and they're paying $4.80 as well. Pandora, to me, is the OG of streaming. Like, I used to listen to music on Pandora all the time. Honestly, when I first started listening to music on my phone and other devices like that, Pandora was the first option that I went to listen to things. They're offering $3.20 per 1,000. And then Spotify, the one I feel like everyone uses the most unless you're an iPhone user, they're offering $3 exactly for 1,000 streams. And TikTok, this is another one I thought was ridiculous. TikTok, where a lot of people are providing content and going viral with millions upon millions of views, is offering 0.50 per 1,000 streams. Now, what I don't like is these streaming platforms taking advantage of artists. And that's exactly what they're doing. If you're not even offering a full penny or a full cent per one stream, you're taking advantage of an artist who provides you the content you need in order to get that ad revenue that you so solely try to gain, right? And they're making millions upon millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in ad revenue. There was a time, and this is when Tidal first started becoming a thing. There was a time where artists would do exclusive content for a particular site. It could be exclusive Apple Music release or exclusively through Tidal. I know a lot of artists did that. If you look at like some of the biggest selling artists of all time, like Garth Brooks, you won't find any of his music on Spotify whatsoever. But the reality is nobody is buying CDs or hard copies of albums anymore. So these streaming services know that the artists are at the mercy of them in order to gain streaming revenue or music revenue, because really outside of touring, what else is there? And these artists are still releasing like vinyls. They're still releasing CDs, and vinyls have become a collectible item, but nobody's buying CDs. It's just that simple. And even the iTunes, nobody's going on there and pre-ordering albums when they have it for free at the disposal of their fingers through these streaming services. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the artist, because the artists need it, the consumer wants it, but they also want it as reasonably priced as possible, which, you know, it's a new form of piracy in a sense, in my opinion. But, you know, for streaming services to pay out the least amount of money in the history of all this, that only makes me think that it's only going to get worse as time goes on. You know, I generally feel like, you know, let me say this. I've got 30 million worldwide streams and I've barely made $6,000. And that doesn't make any sense. Not that I feel like I need $30 million, but I do feel like if you negotiated this let's just say it's 0.0013 that Spotify pays out or something along those lines. If you negotiated that to 1 cent per stream, that gives the artist a little bit more breathing room. Now, in my case, being an independent artist, I don't split streams with anybody. But if you look at songs like Uptown Funk that have like 9 credited writers on there, there's a split of sort that takes place. So this song, I think it's one of the highest streaming songs of all time. If that is split 9 ways, obviously the artist isn't going to make too much money off that either. But when you've got a song, or you've got an artist like Bruno Mars who has, you know, tens of millions of monthly listeners, and his songs are generating millions upon millions of streams monthly, then they don't see. They still see that bukus of money come in every single month, so it doesn't really affect them as much as it does the independent artist. But I do really feel like something has to change at this point, and I don't know what it's going to take. It may take a big artist going to Congress and fighting for it to change the rules, but you know, it really doesn't pay anything to be an artist this day and age. The cost of producing music in some sense has gone down, especially for the independent artists. Everyone has home studio setups, etc. A lot of software out there to teach you how to master content and stuff like that. But I only feel like this is going to transcend back to the streaming content, like the short contents and the YouTube videos and stuff like that. Because if YouTube Music is paying out the least amount, I only see YouTube following suit as well. And then, of course, they have the incentive program where once you reach 1,000 subs and yada yada, they'll start monetizing your videos, and they'll start putting ads on it and things like that. But the only one benefiting from that is YouTube. Yeah, something's got to change. I don't know what it is, but you know, Spotify's paying 0.3 to 0.5 per 1,000 streams. Says calculating how many streams an artist needs to earn $1,000 on Spotify depends on the per stream rate, which is typically 0.003 to 0.005. On average, an artist would need between 200,000 and 333,000 to reach $1,000. I've got about 12 songs on my catalog right now that have over 100,000 streams, and there's been months where I earned a lot of money, but right now I think most of my months are about a couple $100 at most, which is fine at this point, because I don't do music to make money, and it doesn't really cost me much money to make music. So, but yeah, something's got to change, man. It really does. Most people say if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But for me, it don't make sense if it don't make dollars. And that's what I feel with the streaming industry. It's got to get better. I'm old enough. I've been around from like the tape era, where you go to the store, you buy a tape for $20, and then it transitioned to CDs, where a CD then cost $20 and the tapes were obsolete. And then we got into the MP3 stage with iTunes, and everyone was buying music for 99 cents to $1.29 a piece. And then streaming comes out of nowhere with Pandora. Pandora started off as a radio station, but now it's one of the highest used streaming sites, along with Apple Music and Spotify, which I feel like are the most used. So, if you have an iPhone, you're using Apple Music. If you have an Android or anything else, you're typically using Spotify. And again, these services are offered for free. me, for instance, I have the account where it doesn't play commercials or anything like that, because I don't want to be DJing a wedding or something and then play a song from Spotify and then there's a commercial before it even starts. So we pay for the upgraded version for that reason. But yeah, we got to do different, man. It's got to be better. The artists are getting, killed out there. They're just getting killed. You're having to tour countless nights and countless years in order to make any sort of money in the industry. So it's got to change. It's got to get different. B-side of this, I'll talk a little bit about the 30 million streams I got and what my payouts have been, because again, I feel like that's ridiculous as well. But as an independent artist, what do you expect? So that's what I got. This has been the Rewrap. I'm BJ the DJ. Catch you on the B-side.
Shaking the 8 off, homie, it paid off, homie, it paid off.